Imagine living in a time where your parent came home from work, dropped their keys on the counter, and you already had dinner figured out. Not because they asked you to, just because you knew what to do. You read the room, you handled it, and nobody made a big deal out of it. That was just Monday for you. And now you're an adult wondering why asking for help feels like an almost impossible thing to do. Here's what's actually happening. Gen X parents, born roughly between 1965 and 1980, were labeled by researchers as one of the least parented, least nurtured generations in American history. They came home to empty houses. They raised themselves. They solved problems alone because there was simply nobody there to help. And when they became parents, something complicated happened. They tried to do better. They showed up more. But the nervous system doesn't unlearn that fast. And so without meaning to, without even knowing it, they passed something down to you. Not neglect, not a bad childhood necessarily. Something quieter than that. A blueprint, a way of moving through the world that said, handle it yourself, don't be too much, and whatever you do, don't fall apart. And here's how that transfer actually happened. Gen X parents didn't just model these habits silently. They narrated them. You heard it constantly. When I was your age, I walked home alone every day, and nobody checked on me. We didn't have anyone doing things for us. We figured it out. I turned out fine. Those weren't just stories. To a child's developing brain, those were instructions. They were your parent telling you, without realizing it, what strength was supposed to look like, what you were supposed to become. And because you loved them and trusted them, you built yourself around those stories. You took their survival manual and made it your personality. Here's what that looks like in you right now. Number 1, you solve the problem before you tell anyone there is one. Your Gen X parent didn't call someone for help. They figured it out. And you watched that, absorbed it, and made it your default. They probably even praised you for it. See, you handled it yourself. I knew you could. That praise wired something deep. So now when something goes wrong, your first instinct is to fix it quietly, alone, and only mention it once it's resolved. Number 2, receiving feels more uncomfortable than giving. Your parent expressed love through action, through showing up practically, but they also told you constantly that needing too much was weakness. So you learned to give freely and receive awkwardly, because that's exactly what you watch them do every single day. Number 3, you feel guilty when you rest. Your parent was productive, busy, efficient, and they made sure you knew it. I don't have time to just sit around. You heard that enough times that rest started to feel like something you had to earn. And now your body doesn't quite know how to recognize stillness as safe. Number 4, you are deeply uncomfortable being a burden. This is the big one. Your parent carried everything alone and rarely complained. And when you did express a need that felt too big, the response, even if gentle, taught you to shrink it next time. So you did. And you kept shrinking until needing nothing felt like the safest version of yourself. Number 5, you genuinely believe you prefer doing things alone. Your parent probably said something like, if you want it done right, do it yourself. You heard that so many times it stopped sounding like a warning and started sounding like wisdom. But there's a difference between preferring solitude and having never been taught that depending on someone is actually safe. Here's the thing about all of this. Your Gen X parent was doing the best they could with the childhood they survived, and you have been doing the same. But you don't have to keep running that same program forever. You're allowed to ask. You're allowed to receive. You're allowed to let someone else hold some of the weight for once. That's not weakness. That's just something you were never taught, and it is absolutely not too late to learn.